Alright, so let's get to the results now. Kane trials received spontaneous help on 62 out of 65 trials. What does spontaneous helping refer to? Spontaneous helping refers to when the help was offered even before the model came, right? It's just that people saw the victim collapsing, and even before the model came, the victim received spontaneous helping from the participants rather than the model himself first, right? So this was pretty surprising for the researchers as they did not expect this. They expected like huge latency in the response times from the participants, but however, that was not the case. The help came from the most larger of groups, which is why diffusion of responsibility was not seen in the results of this study, which is something we will talk about later in the results. So, the hypothesis that an ill person is much more likely to receive help from a or comparatively to a drunk person was proved, as on Kane trials, the victim received 90% of spontaneous helping. However, on the drunk trials, he received only 50% of spontaneous helping, right? So as you can see in this table here, on the model trials, the drunk victim was much less likely to receive help than the white victim in the Kane condition. And in the no moral condition, all of our white victims in the Kane and drunk condition were much more likely to receive help, but this was way less likely to help with the person who was both drunk and both and black also, which is why the racial prejudice coupled with the fact that he was drunk caused a lot of difference in the helping behavior that he received, which was really less than compared to the Kane trials. All right. And early model elicits more helping than the late model. We saw that when the model came first to the victim's assistant, not only one, two, but three good Samaritans came to his helping, which was proved in the study, as if someone helps first, the others are also willing to jump in. On 60% of the 81 trials, when the model came to the victim's assistance, the people around him were much more likely to also assist the victim then. All right. This may be for two reasons, as a researcher stated, because the first reason might be that, okay, the passive response by the victim, that he might not have gotten violent, he might not have gotten disgusting, he might not have puked or things like that. So the fact that he behaved passively might have, you know, made the participants realize, okay, we can help also, and he will not get violent, or he will not get violent, or he will not harm them in any way. So when they saw that happening with the model, like when the model came to the victim's assistant and they saw that, okay, the victim did not get violent, they felt relaxed, and then they were much more willing to help the victim, right? The other reason that they gave was that some this is something I talked about in my earlier videos, that one of the reasons why people might help after a model helps is because they might be willing to help the model himself rather than the victim, right? They might see that, okay, the model is not that resourceful, or the model is not able to help the victim himself, so they might be willing to help the model in his charitable act, right? So these were the two reasons that they gave. Also, they were also very surprised to see that when the model trials were conducted, there was no racial prejudice seen in black or white victims helping, right? So when the model came to help the white victim, the people's response times were equally um, equally likely with the response time of receiving help with the cane victim, right? There was no difference between the response time of helping between the white victim and the drunk victim in the model trials, right? Out of 81 spontaneous first helpers, where 90% of the people were males. This is something we talked about in our early videos. We talked about the comments that the females made, that okay, I'm not strong enough, I don't know where to look, you feel so bad, you don't know what to do, right? So those that qualitative data can be one of the explanations for this, because most, like, all of our victims were males. So would this be different if a female victim was used, right? So the females, we can also talk about this in terms of temporal validity. This study was obviously conducted in the 1960s. So at that time, the females did not consider themselves as to be as strong enough, or maybe you know may have that kind of a mindset, right? So which is why the spontaneous first helpers were 90% of them were males, which states that males are much more likely to help when the victim is a male. Okay, so same race helping in the drunk victim. We did see more immediate spontaneous helping with the cane victim. What do I mean by immediate spontaneous helping? Um, Not only the help to the cane victim came before the model acted, but he also received, but the response time for him was also very low, kind of compared to the drunk victim. Drunk victim, the drunk victim might have received help a little late than the cane victim, right? So same race helping was seen in the drunk victim, because the drunk victim was much more likely to receive help from his same race. So if the victim was black and drunk, he was much more likely to receive help from the black victim. Okay, so another thing that they were very, the researchers know that people were much more likely to leave the critical area and make comments when the help was not offered after 70 seconds, which proves our first result here, that early model elicits more helping than the late model, right? So when the help was not offered after 70 seconds, they were much more likely to make comments as to, and to try to like kind of relax themselves, or try to give themselves a reason, okay, okay, this is why I did not help them. They are much more likely to make comments and much more likely to talk about it with the with their with the nearby passengers, to make sure that they are not likely to self blame, and much more likely to put the blame on the victim themselves, right? To just give them some satisfaction, okay, this is why we did not help, by making comments about it and by talking about it to other passengers, and also getting satisfaction in a sense that okay, they might also feel the same way that I'm feeling here. Okay, and this was way more likely to happen when the victim was black and drunk. People were much more likely to help, much more likely to leave the critical area when the victim was drunk and black, right? And also we found that the 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 difference in the area where the model was standing, the adjacent or the critical area, did not really make a difference in helping. However, the early or the late condition definitely did make a difference in the helping behavior of the participants. Alright, so let's just compare our hypothesis to our results here. A drunk person would get less help than an ill person. That was proved, as the ill victim received help on 95%